Hello everyone, I'm Esther, I'm from Peterborough City Council, and we're doing a bit of a conversation, I guess a bit of an open conversation today, a roundtable panel with a few different leaders from the Black, African and Caribbean community within the city. So the purpose of this conversation is really just to kind of listen and understand what the different experiences are that people around the table have of being Black within the city, just observing how the city's changed over time, and sharing a little bit with you all about different cultural traditions, what some of the challenges are that people have experienced being Black in society in 2025, and what some of the opportunities are, some of the hope, and some of the ideas that people have about how we can all be kinder to each other. So hopefully it will be a good conversation. Hopefully there won't be too much debate, but maybe that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm Saskia, and I am the co-founder of BNM Peterborough and also the founder of Black Snowflake, and I do a lot of work within Peterborough schools to kind of advocate for inclusion and diversity, and just to kind of talk a little bit about the racism that does happen within the institutions and how we can start to combat that and make positive changes.
Amazing. And Jodie?
My name is Jodie. I'm part of the youth of Peterborough Council, and the reason why I joined Peterborough Council is because I felt that there was a gap between us specifically and the police, and I just really want to advocate for us.
So Precious, you've been very visible in the city. People might have seen you recently out and about. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Precious Graham, and I am the founder of Culture Community CIC and also the founder of Culture Community Carnival. We are an organisation that teaches 5 to 16-year-olds Black history, culture and traditions.
Amazing, thanks Precious. If you are hungry and you live on Lincoln Road or in the nearby area, you might already know Femi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Femi. I came to Peterborough in 2009 and I have worked in the community since then. Well, I'm referred to as one of the Black leaders in the community. I don't actively work in that area of maybe supporting the Black ethnic community in Peterborough. However, as I'm Black and I've got children that have experienced circumstances and situations in Peterborough, I believe I have a little bit of something to contribute to the conversation today.
Hello, I'm Gary Huskerson. I was told recently I was the second ever Black person to be born in Peterborough Hospital. So I've been around a long time. I was previously the Director of Racism for Stroud in Gloucestershire. Do various work for the Stephen Lawrence Foundation. At the moment, coming for a relaunch, I'm Secretary of People Race Equality Council, and the founder of Say It Louder, which is an arts organisation which is worldwide.
Thanks everyone for introducing yourselves. So to kick us off, I actually thought it might be fun to understand a little bit about how long people have lived in the city. I came into the city in 2010, so I might be a bit of a newbie compared to some of you. So it would just be really helpful just to hear how long people have lived here and how has Peterborough changed since you moved to the city, if you weren't born here. But that might be a slightly different answer for you, Gary. Who wants to start?
That can start. I came in 2009, and I do remember on my street where we came, we were 3 Black families actually living on the street. And yesterday, as I was thinking about today, I just thought, I don't even know how many Black families live on my street anymore. Usually you go into town in those days and you could perhaps maybe see a Black family shopping, open yourself, but right now with the population of the Black people in Peterborough has grown. It's brought so much joy to my children because there is now opportunity to make friends from people that look like them, and I think it's just been brilliant. Another thing I've noticed is the number of shops that have sprung up that sell ethnic food in Peterborough. It was very rare in those days, and I'm just really glad that Peterborough has come to enjoy the coming in of a lot more Black people in Peterborough. Yeah.
Anybody else? Yeah, so I've lived here all my life. Mine's a bit different. So growing up, I had a big black community that I was with. We had a centre called the Marcus Garvey Centre, and that's where everyone would meet and congregate, and it was just really nice for us. And I also went to a school that had the most black children in that school. So for me, it was really positive growing up here, and it was quite cultural, but I had that community already growing up.
Is that different for anyone?
That's like polar opposite to me. So like, I'm born in Peterborough, I've been here since the 90s, 1994 to be specific. And my dad was adopted, so like we didn't have any black family within my actual household. And we weren't even aware that there was a black community centre when I was younger, and there was no black kids in my school because I went to Northborough Primary School, which is on the outskirts of Peterborough. And I did used to get a lot of racism, which ended up having me pulled out of school. And then I went to Casterton in Stamford because they thought that might be better, and it was worse. It was even smaller, and there was even less people that looked like me. And yeah, I guess my experience has always been kind of more on the outside of the community, looking in, especially being mixed race. But I feel like as time kind of progressed and I opened myself up to like be a part of the community and like meet more people, and as I got older and like college I think was a big opening point for me because I went to Stamford College and then Peterborough College, and like in college that's where I met more black people and there was more representation, and then university kind of challenges that as well, and I went to London. And for me Peterborough has always kind of been getting more diverse as time goes on, 100%, because I think when I was first born, I didn't really see that many people that looked like me, but that might have been based on where I actually was living in Peterborough and like where my family would put me around, and the environments I was in and the friends I had through school. But as I've got older, I think that it's become a lot more loud and proud, I guess is the right word to say, which is really nice to see.
I think I might come in on your point, Femi. So I am a little bit of a newbie compared to you guys, but I have to say I really appreciate the kind of the various takeaways that have come to me. This is a big deal. I do not have a lot of time around work, but literally I think there's 4 or 5. Let's talk about MBay, because MBay has stuck out there, haven't they?
I think MBay, because we had a similar length of time. I think before I was here before, I was here before, and I was here, and it's quite interesting. Like, and each person that spoke, my experience was completely opposite. My dad came to Peterborough in 1957, and my uncle was probably the first black person to actually buy a house to me in Peterborough. But the things what was different, my family moved from what was called the black area over the bridge, which was considered that South Peterborough, to Stanground, and we were the only black family. I was in senior school, I was the only black kid out of 1,200 children. So, but yeah, I had to come to town to meet all my brothers and cousins. And Peterborough's always been diverse. Where it's different, and that is, I think what we forget is, it's always been diverse, but there's a colour change. The people what's made Peterborough has always been people from different countries. The Italians but we don't notice them. The Polish, we don't notice them. Even some of the people who's come in the late 70s, and so I distinctly remember being the only black in school, and the issues I faced, I didn't even realise till I was 15 that hey, I was different. Up until the age of 12, I believed everything black was bad. Because my whole community was what, and ironically, my superhero was Gary Glitter. That didn't work for me, did it? Oh, yeah. So my listening to these guys, it's Peterborough has changed for the better, but we've got to mention a lot of things for the worse has happened. And going back to your food comment, I remember my one of the first days in primary school, and we had to bring a food day.
That's a fun one.
Those days you couldn't get mangoes apart from the Indian man in town. You had to get we got mango, sort of mango in school, and they including the teacher all spat it out. But we got it from Ridley Market. That's where you have to get all your food then, or go to Leicester. And then, if you really want the posh ones, years later you would go to Waitrose. You only got those from 1983 when Queensgate comes to Peterborough. So the change has been a lot, but the people inside are great. There's great hope with the people around the stable. My thing is we forget the past too easily.
That's a really good point, and I guess it's probably worth reflecting. I think everyone has a slightly different role in the city. So with all of the history that you have, I guess it would be really good to talk about what leadership role you have in the city, or how do you participate in the community? What do you do in the community, and how do you try and address some of what you've seen growing up?
When Peterborough was 900 years old, I did the history of the immigration in Peterborough and that sort of, and we talked about the Marcus Garvey. My uncle was one of the founders, and it's always been sad for me watching that history be forgotten. And I call Peterborough people BQ before Queensgate, after Queensgate, and it's really sad that all what's gone is forgotten, and we're not always learning from lessons from the past. Very much of the things what are happening now on the streets happened before, and we're not learning those lessons.
So that's a big one. It's telling the stories and actually remembering. And anyone else want to speak to that? Because I think everyone has really different roles. I'm mindful, Jodie, that you've got a really interesting role. You've got access to a lot of the schools, and again, there's a few of us that kind of do work in schools and with young people. So yeah, great to hear from that perspective.
I don't think we have a lot of talk of black people in our school. Like, I think it's black people are a certain type of way, and black people do stay with black people in my year and in the years below. Like, personally, I'm in sixth form, and there's like eight black people in our year, and it just makes us feel like we're out for each other at this point. Like, it's only us, we can only stay with each other. But I want to go back to the question you guys talking about your history, like from Peterborough in like 2009. Obviously, I don't really have the best recollection of everything that happened there, but I do remember in primary school where there was like maybe me and my brother were the only black people in our class, and there was definitely a way we had to be. Like, for example, my sister would always tell me, my sister's older than me, she would always tell me, oh, you have to act this specific way because you know they're looking at you because you're black. They really have a perspective of you that you have to fight, but not only but also bring yourself higher than that. So it feels like I'm running two races here. I'm running a race to reject these stereotypes that they're doing, but also build myself up and have my own personality, which I feel like I had to do that running through primary school, which is really weird that I only recognised that in secondary school, that I was actually changing my personality for different people so that I can fit a perspective for them, but also be me. And then it just questions that, where did my confidence really come from? It came from having to stand out, because I really stand out, but also I'm not representing myself, but also representing my community. So that's why
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So I was looking at two words that really come to mind when I support my children. That's conformity and adaptability. With adaptability, it gives you the opportunity to be yourself whilst you're actually embracing the society you've come to. Whereas conformity expects you to be what that society is in its whole entirety. And that is not what should be expected. And I think it's promoted by a lot of teachers because they feel like every child in that class should be the same. Whereas black children are from a different culture, therefore they've got the things that have been taught at home and they spend more time with their parents. That should come out in their behavior, that should come out in how they react. So they should not be expected to conform. You should not have to change who you are to become, so that you can have friends in school. You should be able to adapt. Adaptability means that you're actually borrowing a few things that would make group dynamics work, class dynamics work, and I think that that's we have a responsibility in the Black community to begin to speak with our children about those things. If you do not know that you don't have to conform, then you would because you want to make friends. And now sometimes all of the difficulties that children face in classrooms would actually be averted if the parents take time at home to communicate those things to their kids. You do not have to be somebody else. You can learn to live with people, but you don't have to be somebody else. You're unique in yourself. And I
Really interesting what Jodie feels about that, because what you said suddenly reminded me of my own child, but also my son's. I suffer from depression quite badly, it's not a bad car, but it took me to probably about a year ago, less than that I realised my depression was because I needed to conform. I had to be something expected. My teachers expect me to run fast, play fast, can't swim, literally. So, but I expected to be, at 15, I expected to be the bright one, the jolly one, the vibrant one. I expected to go into stereotype. And it's that bit what you expected to be, that's what's caused my depression. I see it, my eldest is 30, and his depression is part of that as well. And he can't live back in there in Peterborough because of that wanting that, thinking that conformity in London is thriving. So that bit about conformity.
And adaptability.
It's almost as like I know when I'm on the phone or doing any events, you sound white on the phone, but when you just and when that,
That's a fun one.
but it's like I had this business with this friend of mine, and I would do all the negotiating whatsoever. But yet, when it comes to the day, they would go to I'll be in the suit, he'd be in his Freddie jeans, and so in order to fit the conformity, and my parents told me, and I can imagine all black parents told us things, and I've, especially with black women, I think they get such a raw deal at the moment, such a raw deal, is that you don't have to be as good as any white student, you have to be better. And that was how, my dad told me I have to be better. I couldn't just win a race, I had to win it by a long way.
And I feel like this is what you guys are doing, Precious.
Yeah,
This is literally what you're both kind of like
Yeah.
trying to instill, is addressing some of that. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, a lot of what you're talking about sounds like racial coding, and I think that's something every person of colour has to do. Like, that's what I did all my school years, like, just try to blend, get on with it, and like the attitude from my parents, whereas maybe you guys would do it differently with your own children, I definitely would with mine, was kind of like, get on with it, just get through it, keep going, like, it's not that big of a deal, don't take it to heart, that kind of attitude, do you know what I mean? And I think, like what Gary says, it can lead to a really unhealthy thing. Like, I definitely had depression when I was younger, and it was because of lack of identity or a lack of being proud of who I was based on what I had around me and the people I had around me, and it does create this really negative attitude to the world. But it affects a lot of people, and even now, like, I speak to students now who have like identity crises, and I think that, especially we are in a city where there's a lot of mixed race kids as well. And like, when you're talking to them and they don't know their backgrounds and they don't know what they're representing on Culture Day and things like that, they really struggle with that. And I do think that sometimes there can be a lot of like backlashes, and not to get too political with the current times and things like that, but like where there's people that don't have any sense of culture or identity, which predominantly could be white people, they kind of backlash at people who have strong culture. But then there are people that are mixed or who are black who still don't have that cultural backing either. So there's just this lack of culture within our society, a lack of knowing your own identity, where you fit in. And I think that's a really strong problem at the moment.
I think that's why we started Culture Community in the first place, because that gives children self-awareness and pride of their actual identity.
Yeah.
There was a lot of children that maybe feel they don't know themselves and didn't know who to turn to or even who to speak to. So that they've got that space now to talk to children that look like them, that can resonate with them and understand what they're going through as well. And us as well, as the mentors with them, speaking to them if they're going through anything, we're there for them. I think that's where it all came from, and I think it has to start from young.
Yeah.
Because me growing up, I had a centre where I could go to called Hobson's, and it was somewhere where we could just go, have fun. We don't really have much youth groups in Peterborough at the minute, and I feel like the children are kind of just lost because they have nothing to do, and then boredom comes. When boredom comes, then they have nothing to do, so they're going to do something bad, and and then they're labelled for doing things bad, but they're only doing it because they're bored. So I feel like having more youth groups is going to help children in Peterborough, and for everyone. So our group isn't just for black children.
Yeah.
It's for all races. So if you want to learn about black history, it's for everybody, but at least the children have that opportunity that they don't get in schools to learn about it as well.
Yeah, I think that's really positive. Like, I love what you're doing, because like if there'd been something like that for me when I was younger, especially coming from like a white school and like white family environment, it would have been nice to have like spaces where I could feel a bit more myself, or at least learn about it so that I could start identifying those aspects. So I really respect what you're doing, so thank you.
And I think let's get into some of the self-expression stuff. I think that would be really interesting. So I know, Gary, you're really interested and involved, active in the spoken word community and poetry, and I just feel like culture and arts.
Buy the book, please.
But yeah, that's another. We're talking a lot about kind of identity and kind of struggle and challenge and pain, and having an outlet for that, or having support for that, but also having an outlet for that is really important. And what are those outlets? Where do people kind of go, as well as the kind of support?
Quite interesting. Nice question. Spoken word poetry for me has opened more doors for me than literally across the world. Thank you for the pandemic for making that happen. But it's
Silver lining.
yeah. But and the beauty of what I do poetry, whether it's we set up Say It Louder, it's my son's idea initially, and where during the pandemic he goes, Dad, you've got poetry friends, music friends, artists, why don't you just have an event, stop it halfway through and discuss what needs doing? And we worked in my poetry. I've worked with the American police. I've worked with, because they didn't realise there's an issue in England, and it's still out there. And I find with poetry myself, I can say things to people I would never get away. I've got my poetry read in House of Commons, and when they actually read it, I went, there you go. But it is more than, it is free, unless you buy my book, that is. But it can get out there, and when we've done workshops, whether you call it poetry, whether you call it rap, whether you call it music, and there's some great projects around the country, Milton Keynes Studios, and they've worked on anti-knife crime, but it's using the arts as a forum. They've used arts funding, but ironically, issues have been addressed, coming together with people, the same way, so back in the day, you used to look for sport for. It's, but
opportunity.
Yeah, but the opportunity for arts in this city is diminishing, and it becomes the same people. When I went to an event at the university, and it was all the speakers were 15-year-old, and the stuff what came out of it and the words what were saying, as I learnt so much from them, and this was that gave me hope. So we whether we call it spoken word poetry, debating, whatever fits the bill, it should be encouraged to speak, or even what you're doing in your role. I'm old enough to remember when we first started at the Youth Council, and how it's worked, and some fantastic young people come through.
Thank you. Jodie, can we hear a little bit more about some of the spaces that you're kind of involved in, and kind of are there any new spaces that you've been carving out? Kind of as Gary's described, sort of spoken word, and just making a space for yourself, all that we need to create in the city. What do we need?
I was actually thinking about it. I didn't really think that there was anything for black people in our community, like younger anyway. Like I wouldn't say that there's anywhere that I went that was for the black people unless it was church. Like that's where my people came from. Like I know my people, and my friend's Asian, right? And she came to our church. She was like, "Julie, actually, I understand your personality comes from here. Like we're very loud, we're very." I was like, "Yeah, that is where I come from." But I never really, because I was always at church, I never really reached out to see if there's anywhere else I could see black people, and it wasn't really in school. So I just thought it's all online, you know. Like there's some places in Peterborough, there's some places in England that there are black people, but it's not in Peterborough, because I never saw any of these groups. But I 100% agree that if these groups were broadcasted, like, yeah, there's groups for people of colour especially, that you can go and learn about your heritage, that would really make a lot of community. And I really do believe in social cohesion. And another thing you're talking about is our label as black people. And I want to go into policing. Policing is one of the major reasons why I joined the youth council, because we've seen it all the time. Because I genuinely do not understand. Are we not human beings? Like I just don't get it. Why is it continuing? We're progressing forward with technology. We're progressing forward with LGBTQ. But it's like when it comes to race, we're just like, nah, this can't move forward. And I just don't understand it. Like we're just human beings. We really are, and I just really want to put that out there. Because personally, me, I would never want to join the police. Why would I want to join a group of people who oppress my people?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think he's saying that maybe that's the reason why you should join the police, because then you'll have representation in the police, and you'll be able to change things from inside
I understand
there,
that.
and then.
But don't you feel like, for example, there was the black woman who was in the army and literally came out and like said how bad it was being in the army because of all the racism and abuse that she faces, not only being a woman but being a black woman. And I feel like putting yourself in that institution is like a death wish to your mental health, because unless you have the people to back and support you, it's going to be really hard. So yeah, I agree. Like you can only change institutions when you get in them, and obviously we've got some council members here who are hopefully advocating for changes within it. But putting yourself in those environments that are very white heavy is going to affect you.
The fact of the matter is,
that conversation
what I've discovered to my detriment is you can't mention the word race. As soon as you mention that word race, people change and go on the defensive. They go all sweating.
I think that's due to lack of education.
And the fact of it, I lost a job. I got sacked from a job quite recently just because I asked the question, "Are you being racist?" And that was considered as bullying. And you only have to look at how the news is presented, how as soon as you mention that word race, the flags go up more so than one. And
Can I just, to go back to what you were saying about the police, and also we were speaking before about teachers, and I thought it would be quite interesting to talk to you about. When I go into schools, there's so much presence and lack of presence of black staff. What's your thoughts on that and how we can look to change that? Because to me, that's one of the biggest issues in Peterborough, is that when you speak to children, they're still experiencing racism within schools, and some of the schools are very white heavy, but also that comes from teachers as well. So what's your thoughts on that?
So I was quite fortunate because the school that I worked in, we had the most black teachers in that school.
Oh, wow.
So we had 5.
Oh, okay.
And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of the parents, they were grateful for us being there, mainly because their children felt like they could talk to us about certain things that were going on and we would understand. Yeah, in Peterborough, I just feel like when it comes to employment and everything like that, we don't have as much opportunities as everyone else. I just think maybe now it's getting better, but there is still work to do. I think you can't just change decades of something happening in one day. It takes time.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting there. We just have to keep on going, and people will always start.
Yeah.
So I was looking up the population of Peterborough, and we're over 200,000. The black community or the ethnic community in Peterborough, less than 30,000. So if you're looking at it in that perspective, we're never going to have more black teachers than whites in schools. However, with training, there was a training that we did when I started community work in Peterborough. It was called Cultural Awareness Training, where they brought things from each culture to the table. There were police people present on that training with us that period. It was sponsored by EU. Well, we're no longer in the EU, sorry for being political. But what that training did for me, because I had never been with Asian people before, was introduced me to their culture, to understand them better, how women treasure their scarves and things like that. A lot of things were taught on that training that opened my eyes to the Asian community. So that training can be about black community, it can be about Polish community. If teachers are aware, then their attitude towards black kids will change.
Self, and some of you might know that April, we get asked to go to so many schools who are suffering after Black History Month. But it's how little knowledge the teachers actually know.
Right.
You know, it's like, why was Pakistan and India separated? There's 53 countries in Africa. I thought that was one country. Jamaica's near St Vincent. They've got their teachers, and
There's still more to that.
and England of all countries, we follow our leaders. The rhetoric that our leaders give is how we respond down the front. So if our teachers don't know, as 53 countries in Africa, that everybody from the Caribbean doesn't come from Jamaica, starts my feeling of like I'm not important, because I know everywhere in England. I know team north, south, east, western England. I'm not going to tell you about all the rivers I learned in school, but
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Should we have one light-hearted couple of seconds before we go? This is my silly question. It might turn serious, who knows? What is one traditional food that you feel that everyone should try? That's it. Also, my follow-up to that is, which traditional food do you think is objectively the best type of food in the entire world, and better than any other type? Because I have some answers for that as well. Yes, who wants to do that one? If you like traditional food, you might not.
I like ackee and soulfish.
I was about to say ackee.
Yeah.
Ackee is so good. I've only recently had it, but I love it.
Yeah, ackee and soulfish is one.
And it's got to be jollof rice for me.
Actually saltfish, it's plantain.
I love
Plantain, not plantain, it's got to be plantain. Cook plantain differently.
Okay, does anyone know pepper soup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, pepper soup is
Yeah, that's nice.
pepper soup. Okay, it's really good if you've got a cold. It's amazing. It's literally water, okay, and pepper. But it's so good. I hyperventilate. I make it really hot. My husband finds it hilarious because I'm literally, I can't breathe, but it's so good. It's like the best thing.
I like okra soup as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
pepper soup
oh.
okra is even
Oh,
better.
Do you like that one? Do you like that one?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Any final words of wisdom before we finish, or are you good?
I'm going to say,
Words of
I get hope. I get amazing hope. You see, the negatives are like, we all know about it, but felicity, because I think I've never, in my life, thought I've never been so bad. But I get hope. There's so much hope and joy. The first time I went to culture community, and with all the beads and the Afro pop and the indie pop, the carnival, I get hope from seeing you here. I get hope from that 15-year-old girl doing a poem going, "Fuck, you're an old girl by now." but it's for what Precious had to do to get culture community going. The bids. I won't even say that she's been to visit the Queen. She left that out. I'll do you by it, don't worry, anything out. But the things what Precious had to do to get the original, the lottery funding, the help, the support. And remember, this was during not the start was during COVID. Then afterwards, what she had to do to get a room, a venue, not supporting, not there for something which is really positive. And I can go along, but after the carnival, and it was the first time I've ever been in Peterborough, probably since Pete and I won a cup, that you walk around town and everybody was smiling, talking, people were out. It was, so that's my hope and joy. And there is lots of things we need to change, and lots of, but also just as you. But there's so many young people at church. They're amazing, and I hope you're giving the support. What is needed so we move on. So in 20 years' time, you're not sitting there. We've gone cold by then, but you're not sitting here. We're asking the same questions and not wanting coleslaw.
Yeah, I would go on from that. I would say keep on having the conversations, but also actually putting action into it. I think it's good to have conversations. It's good to talk and share ideas, but you need to actually do something about it, not just talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you're able to do that, do it.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I would say, like, that might take away is obviously we've got Gary here who does like a lot of spoken word and things like that. And I think personal health is always really important, and personal expression. Like, you don't have to be, you know, somebody that makes a book to like write those things down so then express yourself. So I think for your own health, like, you can find different ways to express yourself, and I do that through painting, and my paintings are terrible, but I love it. So whatever you can do to kind of self-express is always positive.
Mine is get involved. If you're not sitting at the table, discussions will be made without you. Just get involved. Especially young people, please do get involved. Because when you have your feet on the table, then you're part of that discussion that is being made about you. Yeah. Thank you.
Lots of words of wisdom. Judy, did you want to?
Oh yeah, for my young people, I understand what you've gone through. I have a lot of people that have gone through the same thing as you. You're not alone. And what you need to do is really to start speaking out. And that's what you said. And speak is not only what you do, it's also about action. But every single day you take a step at a time. And also stand up to that microaggression that you felt. Ask that person, why did you say that? Because if you let it go now, when you're in the workplace, people are going to be doing it every single day to you. You're going to be like, oh well, that's it. You know, and it's like she said, that it's not about compliance, it's about
adaptability.
Yes. It's about that.
Yeah.
So that's very one strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.